Hey guys, welcome to the 2024 ZouKeepers RI3D robot showcase / walkthrough. I'm joined here with
Ethan, yeah, the CAD dude.
Lewis. I run the TikTok. I don't know what you want me to say.
Peter, programming.
Nora, shop assistant.
and I do building and tomfoolery of
Real.
sorts. We're gonna walk you through the process of how we designed this robot, some issues that we ran into, some design considerations, things that we would do better if this was an FRC robot, and ways that you could use some of our ideas and implement your own ideas and make this into something that we think would be pretty competitive.
Well, starting out, so we came through and we just went with a whole list of ideas, put them on a whiteboard, and then from those we started making prototypes. We prototyped our intake here in a final form, and so that kind of all came together and ended up with what we have here. So we have like this Lexan plate that basically scoops underneath the note, and then we have intake rollers that suck it in. It's on about a 9-to-1 gear ratio on a bag motor. If that helps any of you, that's clearly enough to suck it in with about 1.75 inches of clearance, so about 0.25 inches of compression on the smaller wheels. The bigger wheels have a little bit more compression, but it worked well. Moving over, we also have a shooter device. It's just a modified kitbox shooter, and so we've modified it. We have about 3.5 inches of compression, and then we actually have more wheels than the regular kitbox shooter to stabilize the firearm.
One of the things we noticed about the shooter when we were running it through tests was that we needed this hood on the top. We also made sure that the hood was pretty close to the flywheels, because sometimes the foam note would try to work its way under here. So we just played around with some of those dimensions a little bit. This stuff is just zip tied. It didn't need to be held together, super tight. And then we just kind of curved the Lexan here to feed the note in a little better.
Woo! You got the range!
One of the major considerations when we started our design process was the change in the bumper rules. So typically, our affiliated FRC team has done a gap in the bumper for ground intake, and since this year it required all the way around the perimeter, that's why we started thinking about intake ideas, how it could go over the bumper. Originally, we were going to do an angled slant with surgical tubing, but that prototype didn't work. So then we just did 90 degrees.
What was that?
Don't worry about it.
It's fine.
So then we just did 90 degrees with the rollers, and then so we used that then to fold that 90 degrees up as you just saw and feed it straight into the flywheel. So the levels of where the note is just a straight line into the shooter.
So you can probably see that there is a climber arm right here. It did not work. So main reason why it didn't work is because there was a mishap in the construction and a spacer was not added between the two pieces of the pulley, and it just ended up bending a bunch of stuff.
I just do CAD. I'm not good at instructions.
You are calling yourself out.
We let the catter build the robot.
Okay. First tip for you guys: don't let your catter build the whole robot.
I'm good at designing things, not building them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, if this actually would work, so what it is it's a constant force spring and pulley system. It would work if we had two, and if there was a spacer between the two pulley parts.
And this piece here is just a Thrifty Bot climber.
Oh yeah, I didn't mention the Thrifty Bot bit.
Thrifty Bot climber bearing kit. We used those in 2022 when we were all on FRC.
Yeah.
And then we stuck with it. It works really well.
It's consistent, reliable. If you aren't a big fan of strings or pulleys, there's also the option of doing a rack and pinion. That's another option.
Jangling that thing.
Okay, so as you may now notice, our whole shooter mechanism has lifted, and that was actually because of this big design consideration we had this year. We think that it would speed up cycle times if we drive under the stage, and so we had to design our entire shooting mechanism and everything to fit under the stage, which is about 28 inches up in the air. And so to do that, we had to mount our shooter so it could raise and lower. This also helps it so we can shoot at all different angles from all different points of the field. If we had more powerful motors, Sims, not the most powerful, but they get the job done, especially at closer ranges. So with this, we can, in theory, you can adjust it from about 20 or so to 60 or so degrees, which is plenty of arc to get pretty much anywhere on the field with your notes. And so to get it up and down, we used kind of the scissor lift style system. If you're trying to figure out more about how this works, I'd look more into the 2022 EveryBot that 118 makes. They make an EveryBot every year. If you didn't know that, you probably do if you're watching this. But this is very reminiscent of what they did to lift their arm that put balls into the hub in 2022. So did that, we just rotate it with a Sim on about 160 to 1 gear ratio. This basically turns this and forces this other member here to turn with it, which in turn forces up the entire shooter and allows us to shoot. To make sure our intake would always feed consistently, we used a dead shaft system down here that also encases the same pivot point that our intake works in. So no matter where we are at our angle, our intake will always feed back to the same point when it's turned.
Yeah, so as far as wiring and controls, you can see that it's really beautifully organized here, very nicely routed so nothing gets pinched or severed.
Hopefully that's off camera.
Or
I think it might be.
If it's off camera, then you'll just have to use your imagination. It's spaghetti on a piece of wood. Oh, okay, we're getting a close up there, sure. Yeah, so a lot of the controls, all the programming is very bare bones. It's percent output, whatever. I think a lot of the potential of this robot comes from some of the things you could do with more involved control systems. We had some limit switches to make sure we didn't blow things up, as I did a couple times during testing while we were building. But yeah, basically just things so we didn't break it any more than we already did. Nothing. You can see our cycle times were a little bit silly because I'm holding the joystick trying to like manually stall it at the thing where it won't fall. So a lot of things like that could make this a pretty effective bot.
Conclusion, we need money.
Or other than that one.
Conclusion, this is a great bot if you have money to make it better.
Alright, I'll give the conclusion.
Money or time.
Save money, that's better. Walmart.
It's cheap, it's easy.
Walmart
it's
sponsor
quick,
us.
I wouldn't cheat
Cheap,
it.
easy, and free, like filling up your socks with river water. So that's a little rundown of the 2024 ZouKeepers RI3D team robot. Like we said at the beginning of the video, we think this is something that is pretty competitive for teams that are just starting out, or anybody really. If you guys want to take any inspiration from this or just steal a whole mechanism, whatever you got to do, put your own spin on it. And we think that it's a pretty good starting place for a lot of people.
And check out the Mizzou First TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys should follow us on TikTok
And
this guy-
Instagram.
and Instagram.
I don't know what our Instagram handle is, so you'll have to figure it out on your own. Anna did not tell me. But our no, actually, that's a good idea. Yeah, we'll do that.
Cool editing right
And
there. Watch
you
it.
can follow us on TikTok at Mizzou.first.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Oh, I did
Don't
it.
use one climbing arm.
Life's not a waste of time. Time's not a waste of life. So life's not a waste of time. You can't waste it. Have time of my life.
Hell yeah.
Pitbull.
Anyway, you should give us money so we can make more cool stuff like this. We're
We-
poor.
We want
And we
you.
need money. We need sponsors.
Stop shaking.
And First Updates Now, if you're watching, we'd be happy to have you next season to record all our crap for us so we don't have to.
Try saying that again, but nicer.
We
Please.
need someone to record our stuff
This is
for
supposed to be
us.
kind of loose.